with everybody after the session. So to start off with, in Southern Africa, it's important to start with desktop applications, i.e. your on-premise applications. Now, if you look at Africa, particularly in our region, you know, we're not the same as Europe. We're not the same as America, where internet connection, Wi-Fi, data, and just devices and infrastructure is so much greater than ours. So Microsoft recognizes that in our region, we have a lot of customers, particularly in South Africa, that need to rely on what we call on-premise software. And on-premise software, a good way to think about it is, if you think of back in the day, you used to get a disk from Microsoft with the software on it. You'd have to put that onto your device. But I mean, look at the laptops that we have currently at the moment. Some of them don't even come out with the CD-ROM. Arnold, I think you and I were talking about that the other day, where, you know, we remember the days when you could actually put a CD into a laptop. Now those days are gone. For those of you that are using Mac, the good news is that, you know, Microsoft recognizes that you've got all these weird adapters. You've got these, you know, HDMI ports that are much smaller now as you're upgrading your devices, if you're able to. So they've also made Mac versions available for anything that you see on screen, which I know is a big question that a lot of NGOs ask. So the first top application that we see NGOs use is called Office 2019 Standard Edition. And what that package includes is your popular apps or your popular applications from Microsoft, which is your Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, Publisher, OneNote. As mentioned, there is a Mac version available too. And there are some questions that you might need to ask us or our support team in order to know which version you should be on and how you should install it going forward. Now, the important thing about this is, through our program, your organization can request up to 50 of these licenses at a heavily, heavily discounted rate. And that's where the admin fee comes in. Next up, top product number 2 is the Windows 10 upgrade, and that is your operating system for your device. Again, very similar to the Office 2019 Standard Edition, Microsoft will allow your organization to request up to 50 at a heavily discounted price. But please do chat to us about that, because sometimes that is dependent on what current software or what current operating system version your laptop or your desktop is running. Again, our support team is in the chat box, and I'm sure many of you know Arnold. He is so happy to liaise with you and answer your questions, and we are definitely here to help you. But it's just important to note that with Office 2019 Standard and with the Windows upgrade, we do need to know what device you've got, you know, how many products you've requested before, and so on. The third most popular application is Microsoft Visio Standard. And this we are seeing nonprofits use in very creative ways when it comes to M&E reports, when it comes to their NPO annual reports as well. And what this allows you to do as a desktop application is you can create diagrams. You know, think of your M&E, think of some of your stakeholder reporting. You can do flowcharts, organization charts, and more. Next up is Microsoft Project, and this allows you to schedule tasks, track progress, and share your project information with your donors and your stakeholders. And this is an incredibly powerful tool, especially for social workers, fundraising consultants, and your development staff members in order to keep track of where your projects are, assign different project task dates or responsibilities, and everything is housed in-house on your server in your organization. Now, of course, I've just said the word server, and this is now products number 5, 6, and 7. For those of you that have not yet fully ported over to the cloud for various reasons, Microsoft fully understands, and what they've got is a range of Microsoft Server and Enterprise products. And Arnold is the best suited when it comes to these products. He deals and he liaises with so many of you, our NGO clients, on a daily basis about this, because there are so many different options available to you. You've got your SQL Standard Edition, you've got your Windows Server, you have your Microsoft Exchange Server for a different thing to do. And then, of course, digging deeper into each one of those, you've got different requirements, you've got different setups, depending on what your organization currently has. Now, this here that we've just spoken about very briefly is your desktop and your on-premise software, okay? And sometimes NGOs like to have a bit of a hybrid where they do a cloud application, or they have a cloud application, and then they still use their on-premise applications as well. A common question that we get is, you know, Sam Arnold, our organization at the moment, we have half of our staff that have returned to our office, and the other half of our staff are working remotely. How best can we use the Microsoft product offering to us to make sure that everybody remains connected and we can all still share information with one another? And the beauty about the Microsoft offering is that you can set up a hybrid system which allows you to do both. And I do encourage you to follow the link that's on the screen. Again, if you want to, you can take a picture of this. You can wait until the very end of the presentation where we will be sharing out these links of where we're going to be housing all this information. But please do spend some time going through the on-premise offerings, what your organization is eligible for, and then coming to us and chatting to us about the next most popular products, and that is the cloud. And, you know, those of you that have RSVP'd and you've spoken to us before this event about this event and some of your questions that you've had, it's 100% well known to me that many of you have got cloud-based questions. And, you know, what is this Microsoft Cloud, and how can I maintain that our data remains secure, and what is a data center, and so on and so on. So the next portion of the presentation, we're going to be spending quite a bit of time talking to you about the cloud applications, because the pandemic has, I think, taught all of us that the time to go digital is now. And for many of you, you know, your programs almost stopped the minute that we went into lockdown, and you spent probably a good 7 days trying to figure out how to use technology to better serve your beneficiaries, and most importantly, to keep in contact with your donors and your stakeholders. And I am so happy that Microsoft has decided to donate some of these products to NGOs, because they really stepped up when it came, you know, to the entire country and the globe going into a lockdown. They looked at some of the pain points of nonprofits. They looked at this whole element of hybrid working. They even looked at load shedding in South Africa, which, I mean, is huge. And in some of our other African countries, you know, they've looked at internet shutdowns. How best can we assist your nonprofit with using these different types of software tools to mitigate those kind of what ifs? And Microsoft has come up with an amazing offer for nonprofits, which is the Microsoft 365 Business Premium subscription. Many NGOs have ported onto this in the last 12 months. Arnold, I mean, I don't know if you would agree, but, you know, we are getting so many queries in every day about this particular product. And how would you find the onboarding of customers onto the cloud has been in, let's say, the past 6 months?
Yeah, I think COVID has pushed many of the nonprofits to work, you know, on cloud. And I think with these 10 Microsoft 365 business subscriptions on offer at no cost has really enabled many organizations to adopt, which is very good. But obviously, you know, if there are any nonprofits that will need any assistance after this call, we're happy to schedule a separate call with them.
Perfect. So yeah, you know, the Business Premium 365 subscription gives you all of your Office apps. So it's the same as the Office 2019 standard. You get your Word, your Excel, your Outlook, your PowerPoint, your Publisher, and your OneNote. Again, there are Mac versions available too. And you can actually use all of these apps on the cloud. That means that if you are wanting to just log into office.com and use your Word and your Outlook on a browser setting, you can do that. But if you have got the Business Premium subscription that has been donated to your organization, you can actually download the Word, the Excel, the Outlook onto your device, which makes it so much better to use long-term, particularly if you have got a large complement of staff or you've got multiple team members scattered across the region that you need to keep connected with sometimes, and also load shedding. Sometimes it's better to have the application downloaded onto your device so that if load shedding arrives, and to those of you that are not from South Africa, from our other countries, I know some of you, Zimbabwe, Zambia, and I think maybe Botswana, you know what the load shedding is, but for those of you that don't, it's when our electricity just shuts down completely and we can't connect at all. And the beauty of cloud is that it allows you to still maintain the same status quo with your reports, with your documents, with your syncing. And as soon as you can connect to the internet again, it'll sync automatically for you. So it's a really good measure to have in place if you are thinking long term of, you know, some of the internet shutdowns, load shedding, and so on. The beauty about the M365 Business Premium subscription is that it automatically gives you the Windows 10 upgrade, and it always upgrades and it always delivers security patches to you because it's cloud-based. So you no longer have to now, you know, look at your device and go, I'm running this on-prem Office 2019 standard. My device is getting a little bit older. Maybe you've lost your device, maybe you don't know where, you know, how to do certain things on your device, and now you need to now purchase new software to install. With the cloud, it automatically updates in the background for you. And the beauty of it, the absolute beauty, is that you can connect the subscription to up to 5 devices. So for example, myself and Arnold, we've got the subscription. I have my Outlook, my Teams, my OneDrive on my phone. I also have it on my laptop, and I have it on another laptop that I use for training purposes. It's linked in just by using my sam@pombano email address, and it doesn't matter which device I use to either, you know, create a Word document or look at an Excel spreadsheet. It syncs across all of the devices, and it automatically updates for everybody else in the team to see. If your organization is going through auditing, we've just gone through financial year end, and so for many of you, you may have got an accountant or an auditor busy with you. If you've got different team members busy helping you write reports, you cannot go wrong with Microsoft 365 Business Premium. Because sometimes for me, you know, I think of something at, let's say, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, oh, I need to let Arnold know. I need to let our accountant know, and our auditor needs to see it. And what I've simply done is I've just created an Excel spreadsheet with all of our financial information on. I've shared it with our auditor. It is housed on our Pombano Microsoft 365 portal, so we control all of that data. And if I do think of something at 4 o'clock in the morning and I update that sheet, Arnold will see it when he logs in. Our auditor will see it when she logs in. And that is the beauty of the cloud, particularly when we are in lockdown. Remote working has shown us that we all work different hours. We've all got so many more events like this to attend to be able to keep in contact with our beneficiaries. So sometimes we might be working more after hours to get our documentation updated, and that's where the true power of the cloud shows up. Included in your Business Premium subscription is SharePoint and OneDrive, and we get so many questions about this. And to be fair, and to our Microsoft colleagues that are on the call, and to those in our donor group that is going to be watching this, you know, I'm very vocal about this. SharePoint and OneDrive ideally should just be called the same thing. Microsoft, I think, might be going down that road. Let's hope so. But the way that I'd like you to think about it is SharePoint is your filing cabinet in your office. OneDrive are your lever arch files that you put into that filing cabinet. So everybody could have access into SharePoint in your organization because it's the filing cabinet in your office. But if I've got the HR lever arch folder, I'm only going to give access to, let's say, Arnold in that actual filing cabinet. OneDrive is incredible when it comes to collaboration and document sharing. And the beauty of it is that you can sync it into your actual website as well. So particularly for those of you that are using your website to showcase, you know, some of your M&E reports, some of your donor case studies, or your case studies for your donors, some of your annual reports, your audited financials, and so on. House everything on OneDrive. It's protected there, and you can actually then sync certain documents onto your website so that only that is viewable. And that's where a lot of NGOs are getting a benefit out of it. Of course, and I know many of you might say, what? This is like the last product that's the most popular, and it's number 10, and it's Microsoft Teams. But we're all using Microsoft Teams on a daily basis. Yes and no. We, for example, for this call, linked into our new platform, you're all on Zoom with us, but there is Microsoft Teams available as well, and it purely comes down to user preference. Each one of them has their own capabilities, but they do something very similar, and it depends on how you are wanting to use virtual streaming tools, host your virtual events, and so on. And what we found is that a lot of nonprofits prefer the Zoom platform when it comes to just having live streaming events or even just events like this. And then they prefer to use Teams for their internal communications and their internal meetings. And the reason for that is that with Teams, not only can you have video calls and you can have chat with your staff, but you also can sync your SharePoint filing cabinets into Teams. And within each channel, you can then work on each LeverArch folder that is linked to your OneDrive live with your team on Teams. So think of Teams not just as a tool to just host events like this, but think of it as a tool that you can use to work remotely, work efficiently with your team. And the beauty of it is that all of that is synced and saved into the cloud. The security measures that all of the cloud operators have put into their servers, into their data centers, is incredibly powerful. So as long as you know how to use it correctly, you onboard your staff correctly to use their passwords with caution and with care, and you continuously make sure that your system is updated. Whenever you see that Microsoft notification that says time to update, please don't pause it. Please don't put it off until tomorrow. Please, please, please update it, because that's Microsoft sending you security patches to keep relevant and to keep updated. And then, of course, with Business Premium subscription, you also get Microsoft Planner, which is just the cloud version of the planner that I spoke to you about on the previous slide. And again, it's amazing tool to use. You could think of it as Asana. You could think of it as Google Tasks. So if any of you are using those kind of apps and you might be paying for that, just know that if you've got the free licenses from Microsoft, you already have Microsoft Planner included, which you can access for free. And then, of course, lastly, with the cloud, you get some Power Apps and Power Automate. So that's your Azure, that's your Dynamics 365, and there are so many other ways that you can use the Microsoft portfolio and their donation credits available to you to build chatbots or to sync or to build, I like to call it an if this, then that program. You know, if my website developer uses our Azure application to build an app that if our social worker is out in the field, takes a photo, and it automatically gets sent from her or his phone onto OneDrive. OneDrive, I want you then to sync it and pull it through to my Microsoft Teams and my Dynamics 365 so that I can build an M&E report and so on. And that's where the true power of automation and the Power Apps comes into play from Microsoft. So as Arnold mentioned, eligible nonprofit organizations can get 10 free Microsoft 365 Business Premium seats. It's an amazing offer from Microsoft. There is a little bit of an application process required, and we do want to help you access this donated software, but there are a couple of things that we need to run through first. Before I do that, I just want to show you everything that's included in this free offer. As mentioned, you get all of the Office apps, which you can then download onto your desktop. So it's no more purchasing Office Standard from us at an admin fee, because now you apply for the 10 free licenses and you've got it, and it remains updated in the background. It includes Teams. Noted onto this is that if you are wanting to use Teams for webinars, and we're talking about over 300 participants, there is an add-on that you can use where you might want to do some transcribing or closed captions on the screen. You might want to be able to set different assignments to different people during those sessions. That is a completely different plan on Microsoft, and that does come at a price. But for the entry-level usage of Teams, The one that we all use internally to have our staff meetings once a week and to have all of our documentation that we work on together, it is included in this offer free of charge. Now, one seat. So in America and with Microsoft, they call a seat a subscription, or in South African terms, that's a user. So Arnold is a seat and I'm a seat. We're both on the pombano.org.za domain, which we've linked to Microsoft, but his email is arnold@pombano, mine is sam@pombano. So Microsoft views that as giving us 2 seats, but it's actually just 2 users. Now, through the 10 seats, because you can apply for 10 seats with Microsoft, each one of those seats will allow you to put that software onto 5 devices per user. So that means, as I mentioned, I could have it on my cell phone, my laptop, maybe my desktop that I use as my backup, and maybe even a tablet. Back in the day when Arnold and I were traveling all over Southern Africa to do these kind of events in person, you'd often see us with multiple devices as backups with multiple different things. And the beauty of this offering is that you can use just your email address to log into those devices, but you are capped at 5 devices per user. The best of all about this offer is that it includes advanced security, your Microsoft Defender and your conditional access. And this is incredibly, incredibly important. For many of you that are busy porting over now onto the new POPI Act that has come into play, for many of you that are worried about, multiple Excel spreadsheets lying all over your office, and maybe you've had interns, maybe you've had staff members that are no longer with you, and you need to consolidate all of that and get that into a safe and secure environment, I honestly can tell you that the cloud is one of the safest ways to go. The only other thing to add onto it is user access. So that's teaching your users how to have secure passwords, teaching your users not to click on suspicious links, for example. But the advanced security that comes from Microsoft Cloud is an incredible offer for all of us. And as nonprofits, we have to protect the data of our beneficiaries and our donors. Some of you that are getting funding from European donors, you're familiar with GDPR, and the Microsoft Defender and conditional access is a good add-on to help keep your databases secured and compliant. It also includes encryption for sensitive data. Now, for those of you that are on WhatsApp, you may have seen some notes before that says end-to-end encryption. What that means is if I send you a WhatsApp message, it is encrypted between the 2 of us. That means that nobody else can see it, but most importantly, the Facebook servers and the WhatsApp servers can't see that. And that's exactly what encryption is. It's basically my device giving your device a special key. Only the 2 of us can use that key to read each other's message. And then once we've done that, that key disappears and nobody else can access that key. So if you are dealing with data like ID numbers, health, health and biometric information, religious information, funding, whatever it is that you might classify as sensitive data in your organization, the good news is that your Microsoft Cloud includes that encryption to help safeguard you. Another amazing offer is that each one of your users, so each of those seats, gets 1 terabyte of cloud storage for collaboration and your backups on OneDrive. Now, many of you have used Google and you still use Google. It's okay to use both. You absolutely can use both. But you'll know that with Google or with Dropbox, you are limited to the amount of storage. A lot of NGOs are having to purchase storage. Please reconsider that. If you are needing to use your funding to roll out your programs and you don't want to spend it on cloud storage, please do consider Microsoft, because they're giving you 1 terabyte of cloud storage per user, which is an absolutely phenomenal saving for your NGO. And it doesn't expire. That's the best of all. And then the beauty of it, again, with Microsoft is not only will they give you free software, but they'll say to you, you know what? If you've got more than 10 users in your nonprofits and you want everybody to be on the same system, we will give you 10 free licenses, and anybody else that you onboard, we will then give you an additional discounted rate. At the moment, with the exchange rate, you're looking at about 82 Rand a month per user to access all of this software, all of this functionality. but you don't have to onboard the rest of the staff. You could maybe do a hybrid situation, or what we found is as soon as one person in the organization adopts cloud, they totally love it, and then start converting everybody else. And the beauty of it is that there is an actual savings for you with that. Arnold, have I covered everything about the amazing business premium offer to NGOs at the moment?
Yes, just to add, on the storage on the mailbox, we get 50 gig mailbox on Outlook.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, I forgot to include that. So thanks for that. So if you can maybe just detail that a little bit more for any of the NGOs that might have questions about that. So does each user who uses their mailbox get that storage?
Yes, each user within the organization will get 50 gig mailbox. So, there are some organizations where they have to delete their emails in order to receive new emails. So with this, they are able to get 50 gig mailbox. If they reach 50 gig mailbox, they are able to archive some of their historical emails so that, they don't have to, keep paying for anything, but it's all free to nonprofit or to eligible nonprofits, which is very good.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's in a very quick way what the cloud offerings can give you. And what Microsoft have done furthermore for nonprofits is that they've created the Microsoft Digital Skills Center. They've got a range of free online courses because they understand, everybody has heard of Microsoft Teams, but do you actually know how to use it to the most of its capacity? And if you are getting this for free, Microsoft want to help you use it as much as you can and be really robust with utilizing the tools to the benefit of your organization. So on the screen is the most popular free online courses from the Microsoft Digital Skills Center. You'll see that they are hyperlinked. And at the very end of the presentation, I'm going to direct you to a place where we're going to house the replay of this as well as this presentation so that you can click on the links. But the most popular courses are, well, number one is Excel. I think for many of us, including me, I use Excel as our M&E tool. We use Excel for our financial reporting. We use Excel for everything. We love Excel. And many nonprofits do the same as us. So Microsoft have a range of Excel for nonprofits free courses. The brilliant thing about this is it is connected to our TechSoup courses platform, which is at our regional center in Kenya. And once you do the course online and you get all of your points and you answer all of the questions correctly, you'll then get a certificate. So if you want to put that on your wall or keep that in your M&E file to show your donors that this is how you are upskilling yourself, not only have Microsoft donated free software to you, but they've also sent you on a course as well. You'll be surprised at how donors actually favor that approach in some of the fundraising proposals that you send out to them. Next up, we have Word, then we have Teams. There's even a PowerPoint for nonprofits course. Then there's Outlook 101. So if you're on your Outlook and you don't quite know how to figure out the new toolbar that Microsoft has put out, or if you don't know how to do mail merge anymore, because now Outlook has changed. I mean, the power in Outlook, even if it is to sync something like Salesforce or your Dynamics 365 or your Teams, I mean, there's so much that you can do, but the place to start is at a course to learn what are the basics, what can we do, and how can we do it. Then we have SharePoint 101 for nonprofits, and this is an amazing opportunity for you to get to really use your cloud storage, that 1 terabyte of storage, and the privacy and the different sharing settings to the best for your organization, and that's what the SharePoint 101 course does. So again, I will show you where to get this from later on, but I do encourage you to take your time. You don't have to rush through these courses. You definitely don't have to do all of them in 1 week. These are always available on our platform. Microsoft has made them free of charge for NGOs during the pandemic and in response to the pandemic. Some courses, like your Power BI course, for example, that is at a paid rate, and it's a much bigger course than this one. So please do have a look at the different courses available. And if you enjoy the free ones, if you think it's worthwhile, there is an option for you to also pay for some higher level courses depending on your digital literacy understanding of the different apps. So how does your organization access these amazing on-premise solutions? Now, remember in the beginning of the presentation, I said that each organization that's eligible may request up to 50 licenses per on-premise solution. And there's quite a bit of a process that goes into that. And the reason why there is that process is because Microsoft can't give everything for free to everybody all the time. I think we can all understand how they do certain things at a donation, they do certain things at a discounted rate. And then also for NGOs that now no longer need the on-premise, you can then port over onto the cloud completely and get everything for free if you're eligible. But if you still want to maintain on-premise, for whatever reason that is, it could be, you know, you've got some older devices that might not handle the cloud. You might have some servers already set up in your organization, and your board or your treasurer or your finance department doesn't want to port over everything just yet. It might be that you don't have funding to train your staff on how to do this complete port over onto the cloud. Then there is still an on-premise discount for you. What you need to do is you need to sign up on our country-specific TechSoup website. And where you go is meet.techsoup.org. You select your country of choice. We service Southern Africa, but if you know of anybody in any other country, please do send them to this link. TechSoup is a global brand, and we service nonprofits across the globe. So we're always sharing out the links to everybody. But once you've done that, you choose your country of choice where your nonprofit is registered and operates from. This is very, very important. Sometimes NGOs are operating in an affiliated nonprofit or a program for an NGO that is based or is housed in the USA. In that case, that NGO needs to go to USA first, and only when the program or the office in South Africa is registered under South African nonprofit terms. So that's an NPC registration, an NPO registration, a trust, a PBO. Only then can we onboard you onto the TechSoup South Africa program. What you're then going to do is you're going to validate your emails. That means you're going to confirm that the email address that you used to sign up on the website is correct. You're then going to register your organization profile. So we're going to ask you to send us, you know, your physical address, your contact information, your budget, your activity code, which means what does your NGO do? Who do you serve? How do you serve them? What are your beneficiaries? Or should I say, who are your beneficiaries? We're also going to ask you for proof of eligibility, because we need to show Microsoft that you really are a nonprofit to get access to these heavily discounted programs. Microsoft will not give this to a business. They will not give it to a corporate. They will not give it to a government, parastatal or organization. Only eligible and registered nonprofit organizations get it at the prices that they can through TechSoup. If you are wanting to go to cloud, there's a bit of a different process. Now, you need to go through the process on the previous slide where you must be validated by TechSoup in your country, which is Arnold. Basically, he's the one that does all of that for all of our countries. So if you have any questions, pop it in the chat box below. We are going to be opening up Q&A very soon, and we can help answer that. But we need to also show Microsoft that, you know, this is an eligible nonprofit. You then can go directly onto the Microsoft nonprofit website, and you can apply for your 10 free licenses. If that application process is a bit daunting, because there is some jargon on there, there are multiple different checkboxes that maybe you're not too familiar with, we as Pombano, through our tech donor Microsoft, we offer free cloud consultations with you. We've got a dedicated form that you can fill out, and what will happen is we will then request a call back with you when you are available. I'm sure you can all understand that when Microsoft offers something like this, we have a long line of NGOs requesting. So it's not always as easy as just picking up the phone and phoning us. We might be in sessions like this, or we might actually be helping another nonprofit go through that process. So the best way for you to do is to create a ticket. That's through our online consultation booking form. It's all 100% free of charge. And we then communicate with you on email to set up a dedicated time that suits both of our diaries. You can also email us for guidance on the application process. We can talk you through it over email. You can call us. Again, you will be then put into the queue, and Spakamiso, who answers our phone, will then direct you and say, you know, Arnold will be available to call you back in, let's say, 48 hours or so. Please leave a message. Very, very important notes if you are wanting to do the cloud application is that there are eligibility guidelines. So some types of nonprofits do not qualify, they are non-eligible. So to save yourself that headache and to save yourself the questions and the time, it's always best to start on that link that's on your screen. You can even do a Google search, you know, what is Microsoft's nonprofit eligibility? And you'll be able to see if your organization should apply or shouldn't. Please send us clear and correct contact information when booking a free consultation with us. Noncha Chambo, affectionately known as Lelo, who I think is on the call, she often gets consultation requests from NGOs where there's a spelling error in the email address, or maybe the telephone number has not been correctly listed. Please don't use that Gmail or Yahoo address that you never ever check because you don't want us to spam you on your work address. I promise you, we will not spam you. We are here to help you, but we do need your correct and clear contact information to assist you. And then lastly, please take note of the time frame for the application and the delivery of the cloud solutions. This is a massive, massive offering from your donor called Microsoft. You know, a lot of NGOs don't quite see Microsoft as their donor. Just because Microsoft is not giving you physical cash in your account doesn't mean that they're not to be treated the same as a donor, because they're giving you free software. Now, often when you go through the application process in a normal fundraising or funding opportunity, there might be a time frame that you need to abide by. The same is with Microsoft, and it's all clear on their website. I know that you need the software to keep your work going, but there are time frames, and sometimes it can take up to 14 to 24 days to get this application going, depending on the size of your organization, because there are multiple teams doing the checks behind the scenes on different continents, different time zones, and Microsoft are very, very strict. If they give your organization software and they're giving you this massive, massive donation, they want to know that you are a legitimate organization, that you've submitted your paperwork correctly, and they want to know that you've had the support in order to access the tools and that you'll use them for the manner in which you're wanting to, or that'll make sense for your organization. Now, before I open up for questions and answers, as promised, here is where you can find all the replays. Now, we have a dedicated Facebook group. The reason why we chose a Facebook group is because we know that sometimes you might want to connect with our teams, or you might have a tech-related question that you want our community to help you with. You might also want to share a tech-related event that your organization is offering. Please go into our group and utilize that space. We have polls running. We have a file section where you can access all of our previous events. I am going to be uploading after this session the replay of this as well, so that you can always access it from there, and the PDF version of everything on the screen from the presentation folder. I often do a lot of impromptu lives in that group, particularly, and I don't know if many of you remember, just at the beginning of this year, there was a massive security notice that went out from Microsoft. We sent out our emails. I also used our Facebook group to alert everybody that you need to run that update on your computer urgently to download the most secure security patch from Microsoft. So TechSoup Connect Southern Africa Facebook group is our easiest way to connect with all of you very quickly and to share information from our various tech donors. Now, I know that today is Microsoft, but Microsoft is not our only tech donor. We have a wide range and we have different events taking place, and the Facebook group is where we're going to consolidate everything. So if you can't attend our upcoming TechSoup Connect Southern Africa event, which is nonprofit virtual events, where do I start? Many of you say, Sam, I see you live stream on Facebook. You're hosting an event like this. How do you get people to book? How do you sync it to your website and so on? Then on the 25th of May, please do join us for another event like this, free of charge, where I'm going to take you through every single thing that I do and the software that's available to you for free to run your events. Most importantly, is in our Facebook group, I'm going to be putting in an extra bonus linked to the event, and that's going to be an events checklist. It's a beautiful PDF document where you can go through, you know, do I have this software? Have I got this setting on my camera? Have I put this into my Zoom? Am I using Teams in this way? So I encourage you all to please connect with us on Facebook. It's free of charge for you to use. We don't see your email address then, so we can't spam you. And you can connect with us on Facebook as and when you have a query. Last slide, I promise, before Arnold and I jump on camera for questions, is how can you contact us? So if you're looking to find out more about TechSoup in your country, go to meet.techsoup.org. You can also go to global.techsoup or techsoup.global, and you'll be able to find the drop-down box for the different countries. As mentioned, we service 10 countries in the region. So I'm very appreciative of those of you that have joined from a different country, maybe on a different time zone. I know that this is the first time we've done an event like this, but I would love your feedback about different time zones and, you know, which days of the week are best suited for the different countries to have these kind of events. You can always contact us on our South African landline. That's for our head office in Johannesburg. And that's on the telephone number +27 010 007 2734. And of course, you can email our support team directly. That's on techsoup@pombana.org.za. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just open up the camera here. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, Arnold, we are back. So now what we're going to do is we're going to just have a couple of minutes for questions. I know that the chat box has been going crazy. So let me just get to the very beginning. And then Arnold, I'll read out the question if you don't mind answering, or do you want to do it vice versa? And you're on mute. And that's in the checklist, by the way, everybody. Is like to put a big sign to say, check your camera, check your microphone.
Cool.
Okay, so I see so many of our customers are here, which is amazing. I would love to have you all put your cameras on so that we could all connect. It's just sometimes the bandwidth just dips quite a bit. But if you are good with your internet, you want to put your camera on, please do. I'm going to look at some of the questions going through now, and I'd love to invite certain questions on. You can unmute yourself and you can ask us the question directly. I'm just trying to find a question in the chat box. George saying he remembers a time he used a floppy disk to run my systems and how far we've come. You know what, George? I have a 9-year-old and a almost 13-year-old. She's turning 13 next week, Thursday. And I showed them the picture of that. And they looked at me and they went, but that's how you save things on a computer. And I said, yes. But back in the day, we actually had to use those things. And they were like, what? They like ancient times. Okay, here's a question here. Pity the cloud version does not have the same features as the desktop version. So Dirk, if you're still on, would you like to unmute yourself and just let us know a little bit more about that so we can just try and guide you there? Are you using the cloud version and are you looking for specific desktop features?
Thank you, Samantha. Now, it was just a remark that people should know that when you work on SharePoint, especially, and you share a file or you open it in the web version, you will not have all the features available to you. So to get it, you have to open it in a desktop version. And then all the features will be there. So that was actually just a remark so people note that.
Sure. And just to also add on to that, so if you are running Office 2019 at the moment, okay, you've got your on-prem software, and then you do an application for the cloud, it's very, very important that you remove your on-premise software when you download your new applications, because that's where that conflict comes in. So Spakamiso can help you. I see he's in the chat. Arnold is also very helpful with all of our organizations from that point of view. But if you are doing the application on your own and you are trying to do a hybrid setup, or you're wanting to go completely from on-prem to cloud, just remember to remove some of that on-premise software so that when you do use some of the other types of applications, all those features become available. But thank you for highlighting that with us, Dirk. And then you also said you wish Planner had a recurring feature. It does, but you have to sync it into Teams. It's a little bit of one of those features that I agree with you. I hope Microsoft can try and figure that out. We have put a request through to them because we get that comment so often from NGOs. And the beauty about Planner is that you can actually sync it into your Outlook so that, well, I'm sure all of our staff on the call will say, when I upload a planner task on Teams and I delegate it out to staff, they get an email once a morning to say, hey, Sam, you forgot to complete this task. And everybody goes like, Sam, stop emailing me. And I'm like, it's not me, it's Microsoft. But the recurring feature, I know that's something that I would love to be able to say, you know, the task is every Monday, Arnold and Sam must sign into whatever website and do a certain task, and it must automatically happen every Monday. I do hope Microsoft has taken that feedback and they might upgrade that. Okay, Kirsten says, who do we contact to check about the 10 free licenses? So Arnold has answered that, but if anybody needs to know, you can comment down below and our team will take down your details, or you can email us after this event. George says, I cannot find a free accounting software on the cloud. I know Sage does give a free package, but I cannot add other missions or churches to the package without first purchasing an additional licenses. I did find Wave Accounting a good system, but they are now only working in the USA. That's correct. I know with Sage, you can add up to, I believe it's 3 companies on the actual package. Arnold, okay, yeah. I see you've commented, Arnold, but I think let's chat to Graham about that and see if there's some other offerings available that we can share with George after.
Yeah, no, I'll reach out to George so that we can figure out, you know, have all the missions, and I'll then have a call with Sage Foundation to sort it out so that, but just so you know, George, unlike, you know, so when we did the partnership that we had with Sage Foundation since 2018, they were donating Sage Accounting and Payroll for the past 2 years, but this year they are now offering a 50% discount. But you know, I'll share with you all the details after the call.
Okay, then next question, can I convert a paid for M365 license to a donated one? I want to say yes, but it depends on the application process, and Arnold is your man to talk to, not me, Arnold. He can assist you with that. And again, just please keep in mind that we do have a ticketing system, so sometimes he's not always available for that. You're welcome to copy our support email in or myself in, and we will then add you into the next process to have a look at that. But for those of you that didn't know about the free licenses and you're currently paying for your licenses, and that's not just for Microsoft, that's for Sage, for Zoom, if you maybe gone through the business portal, Asana, anything that's on our program that you are paying for that you did not know was on our program, please do reach out to us. Let's see if we can do some motivation to get you ported onto the nonprofit offering and help save some money. Kirsten, I hope I answered your question at the end, where you can get a copy of the recording that's in our Facebook group. Meg says, I got an extra MS Office last year and have never been able to work out which of the license numbers to use. Okay. So Meg, I hope that our support team, so Spakamiso, if you can please make a note, and if you can reach out to Meg after this event. Meg, if you don't mind just sharing your email address privately with Spakamiso in the chat box. He will send you a message, or Arnold's got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we're almost at the bottom. I remember applying for the free M365 software and licensing in Feb, but never heard anything back. Not sure what happened or if there was something additional I need to do in terms of application. So is it Janine?
This is Janine. I know Rolly very well, so I will.
Okay.
I'm just making a note of her, and I will reach out to her just to have a look what actually happened, because I remember we have approved the request, so I'll just, and I think, we're getting in touch with your IT, Janine, but let's talk after this so that, you make full use of the donation.
Awesome. And also just to add on to that, what we're finding with NGOs, especially with everybody working remotely. So let's take myself and Arnold. I'm in Somerset West, Cape Town, or Western Cape, should I say, and Arnold is in Johannesburg. So I might be looking at an advert from Microsoft and I go, oh, I want to apply for that. And then Arnold does the same on his side. And then Microsoft gets 2 applications from the same organization just because Arnold and I didn't communicate effectively with each other. So sometimes that does happen. We do see a lot of duplicate organization requests, and often then it's quite a process to go back to Microsoft and say, this is the one that we need to focus on, and then remove the other one. So please, if you have applied and you haven't heard anything back, please reach out to us, especially if you've gone directly through the Microsoft portal. Let us pull that information up. Let's see what's going on with your application, and let's help, get you into contact with the correct teams. So Arnold, the next question is it correct that Access is not part of the cloud version?
So it is part of the cloud version. If you are on the 365 Business Premium subscription, Sunita, you should have access. You should have access to Microsoft Access.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you should have access to it.
So when if you've got the cloud version and you go to office.com and you log in, you'll put your email address and your password. On the left-hand side of the screen, there's like 9 little blocks. It almost looks like the Google blocks, if I can call it that, those little 9 squares in one big square. You click on that, and what will open up is everything available to you on that plan. And you'll be able to actually access from there. But as Arnold mentioned, it is on the premium subscription, not on the free one that a lot of NGOs have been signing up for. Okay, Dirk, any ideas when we'll be able to have a call from Teams in South Africa? Are you referring to the previous event that we had planned where there was a big time zone mess up? Because if so, we've got the recording of that. But I have been asking the Microsoft Social Impact team to do come and join us on a call. They have been fully booked. So we're looking at probably June or July that we could have a call with their team. And I hope that answers your question.
I think he's meaning to make a call via Teams. Not that deck.
Okay, yes. My bad.
Yes.
You should be able to do it. Sorry, Arnold, were you going to say something?
No. I was saying, the main issue that I know, you should, I've not figured out how to make a call, but the challenge that many nonprofits were having was the recording feature on Teams, especially for organizations that have migrated to cloud after Microsoft launched the data center. I don't know if that issue has been resolved, but I'll make a follow-up on that where one can record on Teams.
Sure. And also just to let everybody know, I don't know if you've seen the alerts, but Skype is moving, it's done now. So yeah. I do suspect with the rollback of Skype and with completely removing it and focusing on Teams, I think we're going to start seeing some new features with Teams soon from Microsoft, where they might start integrating that. As far as I know, and I've just had a look at my Teams now, I can only use it to call people in my organization, which doesn't help much if you're wanting to use it as a Skype feature. But just keep an eye on that. And as soon as we hear from Microsoft, we will email it out, post in the Facebook group, and we'll let everybody know. Okay, and then the last question that has come in is from somebody that's been late, which is no problem. There will be a recording of this uploaded into our Facebook group. So maybe Dai or Lelo or Spakamiso, if you can maybe just grab that link for me and post it into the chat. If not, I will do that in a couple of minutes. But we've got 2 minutes left, and I'd like to invite anybody that wants to unmute themselves and ask us a question directly about Microsoft. And it doesn't even have to be Microsoft. If you have any other question about TechSoup, we've got 2 minutes left that we can answer your questions. While that happens, I just want to share my screen again quickly, just so that everybody has a chance to take down our details. There we go. Okay, so I take it that there are no other questions. Let me just check. Thank you, Di. Let me just check the chat box again. Arnold, do you have anything that you would like to add on before we end the session?
Yeah, no, I just some follow-ups, and Ernest, we'll have our call at 11:30. Just have a look if there's anything. Yeah, so just a couple of follow-ups with individual organizations. And I think the deck, I'll also find out in terms of, how can we make calls on Teams, whether is it for free or what, but because I know last time when I was at Microsoft before COVID, there was a time that they are able to make calls to any mobile number. So I'll just do a research on that and see if we can get any update on that. And if we do, I think it would be good for us that, I mean, if it's free, making calls on Teams, I think it would be amazing for all of us as nonprofits.
That would be. Okay,
Yeah.
so we are a nonprofit too, and we understand that NGOs at the moment are so overworked. We have so many deadlines looming. I don't want to keep you any longer. We have reached 10 o'clock, which is our session. Thank you very much for joining our first TechSoup Connect Southern Africa event. I'm so excited to be hosting 2 of these per month. We have some amazing events coming up. So keep an eye on what we do, but as always, you can email us, you can reach us on social media. We are here to help serve you. Just understand that we are servicing 200,000 NGOs in South Africa at the moment. So if maybe we take 24 hours to 48 hours to return your call or to get back to you, that's the reason why, but we are here to assist you. And that is the end of our session. Arnold, thank you very much.
Thanks so much,
Everybody
Sam.
else, have a good day, and we will see you on the next call.
Cool. Absolutely. Thank you all.